gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan, and joining us this week on Talking Business is the chairman of the Export Development Board, Suresh. Thank you for joining us on the show, Suresh. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Ashwini.
Now, Suresh, exports surpassed 1 billion rupees in March. How well has the export sector fared since this period?
I believe that the exporters showed great resilience through this pandemic situation by actually surpassing our expected revised targets. And of course, we make these targets just because these times are very unpredictable. And as you know, as of this week, things are evolving in a way that we really cannot forecast or make, it's not right to put numbers down, I think. But the way I would like to look at this question is how has export performed in the last 5 years, and what do we see that kind of performance a good way to look forward on what the future has, So looking at that, agriculture definitely is a sector that we have a lot of opportunity in, and especially now with the president introducing organic agriculture and with which is clean food, which is in big demand in Europe and in other places. There will be a struggle in the transition period. I must admit that it's not going to be a bed of roses going forward, but in 3-4 years, I believe we will be a favorite nation in the world, because we will be an island producing the cleanest food products in the world when we become an island that is free of chemical agriculture. So it's possible. I myself am an organic farmer, so I know that it's possible. And my buyers and customers are thrilled because for them, Sri Lanka will be finally get the reputation. I mean, we already have the best quality, spices, for instance. It's a no-brainer because we by far, we were colonized in ancient times for our spices. So we have a lot of opportunity in spices. I mean, then we have fruits and vegetables and other food products that are, tea, rubber, coconut. All this rubber, of course, is not a food product, but tea and coconut, these are all outstanding in the world market. And we must realize that, we need to, but we still need to add value. We need to process, we need to brand, we need to do a lot of things. I mean, post-harvest technology is lacking in Sri Lanka, and we can do a lot of things to improve our product for the consumer and develop a brand. That is very important. That we and now with us being totally organic, that's, I believe, the best value addition that we can do to our agricultural products is the organic certification, because that will make us not too many countries that can boast 100% chemical free. So I think we are ahead. I mean, that's one place that I hope that Sri Lanka will be ahead of other countries, and that I'm looking forward to that. I really am, and my customers are ecstatic. They are very happy. And so I think agriculture is a no-brainer for the future. And of course, when we look at electronics, IT, BPM, which always has opportunities, even through the pandemic, they are resilient, and they are probably the least affected industry during these hard times, and we have a lot of opportunity for growth. Uh, Many startups and ecosystems are developing in Sri Lanka, and that's an area that we need to pursue. The demand is increasing around the world. So those are, I think, areas that I feel will see growth in the future.
What initiatives has the government undertaken to help Sri Lankan exporters and importers overcome high supply chain logistics, such as bottlenecks and high freight rates?
High freight rates is a international phenomenon, and there isn't much we can do about that. The good news is that even our competitors are dealing with that. Okay. So if our competitors had a different scenario, then there would be something we could do about it. But today we are struggling because this is an international situation. Now, within Sri Lanka, we have to learn how to cope with that, really. I mean, at this time, whether it's going to change or whether it's going to stay this way is hard to predict. We don't know what it's going to happen. So, but we are still exporting. You know, this is where I say the exporters have been amazingly resilient through this high freight rates and logistic issues. I feel then the government, you know, we are doing a lot of things, improving the ease of doing business. This government is extremely committed to improve the business environment, and I have constant conversation with other government departments, whether it is the customs or the ports authority. We are in very close conversation on how to improve logistics and things like that for the exporter. And you see, this pandemic has also given us an opportunity to get on a Zoom link and bring stakeholders together. I must not underestimate that advantage, because I myself have had some fantastic Zoom webinars where participation was 100%, you know, of the people that we invited. And we were able to, you know, have very successful discussions among multiple stakeholders, you know.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break. Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with the chairman of the Export Development Board, Suresh Dimel. Suresh, in your opinion, how are SMEs affected due to the current import restrictions that are in place?
Import restrictions have affected people, but I think we have to also realize that SMEs, you know, some of them informal sector. Okay, so it has been very challenging when SMEs don't follow the rules also. So many regulations have come into place, and these bans have been necessary because of systems that are being abused. Okay. For instance, now in my own personal experience, I export organic spices. Now, when this import ban on spices came, my buyers were celebrating. My foreign buyers, actually from Europe, they were celebrating because they were struggling to deal with Sri Lanka, because many suppliers from Sri Lanka were mixing the Sri Lankan spices and spices coming from other countries. And these people knew that. Okay. Our buyers know that. I mean, that we would import black pepper from Vietnam or turmeric from India or something like that. and then call it Sri Lankan spices and sell it in the international market. So this ban on spices, especially spices, was very popular. I mean, they really were happy to hear when it came to, because today transparency, traceability, like single origin, where did this food come from, is becoming more and more important. And especially with a product like spices, which is probably the most adulterated product in the world, and that we have an opportunity as Sri Lankans to, from Sri Lanka, we have a great opportunity to call our food product single origin and get a higher value for it. But if we want to do that, we must not adulterate it with other materials. So in the spice industry, just briefly, so like that, there are other industries also that are struggling with this import ban. Now, I must say there are certain industries like the rubber industry where we do have to import rubber and so on, and that's not a problem. And the government does relax some of these rules. Most of these import bans also are temporary, just to get through this current crisis. So I don't think they are going to be permanent import bans. But also we are working on the regulations as to how, when the bans are lifted, how we can better control the negative impacts on importing some of these raw materials that we bring from other countries. So yes, it is affecting the SMEs, but overall we are hoping that it will improve Sri Lankan business in the long term.
Suresh, how capable are local agri-food producers in coping up with international demand? And to what extent is Sri Lanka's Export Development Board supporting the local producers to tread down this path?
The Export Development Board is continuously helping producers. Now, the three important things that people have to be aware of is quality, volume, and price. Now, quality, we know what the market intelligence that the Export Development Board has from international markets. We know what the quality is supposed to be, so we give that information to our producers. Then volumes. Now, volumes is something Sri Lanka always struggles with, because many of our importers or people we export to struggle with not enough volume, in certain qualities, right? In certain quality that they want. And then the other is price, because there are many products that are agriculture products, maybe. For example, take turmeric, Now, turmeric today says 300 rupees, 300 or 400 rupees a kilo, whereas the international market for turmeric is 50 rupees. So we will struggle to export. And that doesn't say we don't have niche markets that buy it for 300 rupees, but supplying a niche market is something that a farmer will have to grow up a lot in order to be able to supply a niche market, because there is processing, there is packaging, there is marketing. That's what adds a lot of value to the niche market product, right? So we must understand those things in context as well. So price is critically important when it comes to the market that you're trying to cater to. And this is the awareness that we continuously provide our producers, and there is a lot of room for improvement. Obviously it needs more work. So we are working on that.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful, every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate, protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalak Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalak Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with the chairman of the Export Development Board, Suresh. How are you assessing the impact or the implications of the new wave of the virus in Sri Lanka from a business or exporter's point of view?
I think that is the million-dollar question. It's evolving, you know. I mean, I wish I had an answer for that, but we have to be. What I recommend to everybody is listen to the news. You know, keep an eye on responsible news. You know, we need to listen to the authorities and we need to understand things in context. You know, the government is struggling to balance economy and health. Okay. And it's a struggle. As you see, if you watch the news, you'll see that the moment the government talks about lockdowns, there are a lot of people screaming about livelihoods. Then the moment, it's the other way around. So we have to, as a community, we have to understand that this is not an easy time for us to, and this is at the time when we need to be inclusive and not selfish. I think we have never had a time like this in the whole world when all of us need to think inclusively and we have to think of the person who is struggling more than us and find solutions for them. I mean, unless the community, I think the governments alone cannot solve these crisis of this magnitude. I think communities have to have a lot more understanding and opposition political parties and they must put all that aside and create a platform of trust. We have so much mistrust in this country about everything. Media houses, politicians, workforces, employers and employees, everybody have to come on the same page. And unless we do that, we are going to be struggling. And I think even after coming together, we'll be struggling, but let's struggle together and make it a little more equitable than, watching some people have a good time and the other people only struggling, right? So that's what we are hoping for, is that we'll be able to share the burden. People, the haves and the have-nots, will be able to share the burden a little bit more.
Our final question for this evening, Suresh. What is the life of the working poor right now, and what measures are needed to offer them redress?
Again, another very significant and important issue. I am not sure that we still have clear answer on that, and I don't think there is a clear answer to that because different enterprises, different livelihoods, and as I said, most of the grassroots level people are somewhat informal, and getting them into people who have lost their jobs, factory workers now with the pandemic and with and companies will be struggling to pay salaries when we have no production. And obviously we hope that companies will continue to keep people employed, but I am sure that if this situation extends too long, companies will struggle to stay afloat, but I think the important thing is to communicate properly with the government, and maybe there are situations where we have to change course. Maybe there are situations where we have to just simply get out of the business that we are in and do something else. I've been networking globally and definitely repurposing businesses, and has become a big thing around the world, because this pandemic has put a situation in that some industries are maybe never going to recover. And let's be ready for the worst, so that people are open-minded enough to do something new. On the other hand, there is a silver lining that if we get enough people vaccinated in the country quickly, that there will be some kind of normalcy that we are seeing in some countries. We are seeing some countries coming into some kind of normalcy now, where they can do their day-to-day activities in a sort of like, the usual lifestyle or whatever that we are used to. So we still don't have 100% proof of how this vaccination is going to work, and because we have these variants of the virus coming up, that's the scary part, is that a new variant might come that we'll need to develop a new vaccine for. So that's why I'm saying, let's be prepared for the worst. Let's do what it takes to, if we have to change our business and do something else, let's be aware that that might happen, and let's prepare for it. Because, if we wait till we live off our capital and end up in debt without doing something with our employees, for instance, then the workforce will be affected if entrepreneurs don't repurpose, because the workforce will have to be retrained and put in a new job. And I think that's where the employer also has a responsibility to cope with that reality, because the workforce is depending on the employer and for guidance on that. So the employer needs to know, maybe it's time now to change gears and do something else. And we'll have to retrain our employees to do something different from what we've been used to doing. So it's a complex answer for that, I guess.
And that's all the time we have for this segment. Thank you for joining us on the show today, Suresh.
Thank you, Ashwini. Thank you very much.
And that's all we have for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.